Okay, so many students today. So nice.
Today, no anthro class.
Okay, nice. So, should we start? Yes, so what do you see on this first page? Do you think anything important as such? Yes, this news on Bihar, but I think we have discussed this article in detail about this special intensive revision of electoral roll in Bihar. Who is carrying out this exercise? Election Commission, obviously, because of the elections, the state assembly elections in Bihar, right? We had discussed this, and this is a news in transition. The issue simply was because they are revising this electoral roll list, so they are expecting every person to confirm their identity, to verify their identity, and for this verification, documents that are required. In that, what Election Commission is doing, they are not allowing some documents. Specifically, this was issue raised regarding voter ID and Aadhaar card, right? So this matter reached out to Supreme Court, and Supreme Court is saying, what's the problem with voter ID or let's say Aadhaar card? Why can't you take it as a valid document for your verification purpose, whichever you want to do? Okay. Now here is a kind of tussle. What Election Commission is saying, we can't use this because these two documents can be made like anyone can go for some kind of fraudulent activity. They can make a duplicate copy or something. It's very easy. It's very easy to make a duplicate kind of voter ID or an Aadhaar card. Supreme Court is saying this voter ID is given by you people only, Election Commission. You don't trust your document, first of all. Second thing, because this document, anyone going for this fraudulent activity, because someone is capable of making this duplicate copy with the wrong name or something, you're putting everyone under suspicion. Just because few people will do this thing, you're putting everyone under suspicion. That's one problem. Second thing, Supreme Court is saying, is it necessary that only these two documents, can anyone just go for such fraudulent activity only in terms of these two documents? Or if someone has to go for such activity, he can come up with any kind of forgery. We call it forgery. That I'll come up with another document. Let's say you ask me to bring ration card, you ask me to bring some other document. Can I not make any changes in that? Can I not bring any duplicate document, as we call it, duplicate or bogus or whatever you call it? So is it necessary that only voter ID or this Aadhaar card can be forged, or any other document can be? So these are the questions Supreme Court is asking, but the problem is constitutional bodies are involved. Election Commission is a constitutional body. Supreme Court is also a constitutional body. Can Supreme Court give some kind of direction to Election Commission? Yes, Supreme Court can give, but Election Commission also has some kind of power under Constitution. They have immense power to carry out election in a fair manner. For that, whatever action needs to be taken up, they can take that action. But if any fundamental right of any citizen is getting violated, Supreme Court can also come into picture. Okay, so this is something which is going on. Okay, we'll just see what will happen, because this Election Commission is supposed to release the draft of this revised electoral roll on 1st of August. So hardly, I think, 2 days are remaining. That's why this issue is something which we are seeing in news continuously. Okay, so that's it. Let this thing continue. This one, next article from your editorial page. Now this is about Ayush practitioners. Any idea what is Ayush? Yeah, please tell me what is Ayush.
Yeah, it came from
Other medical practitioners.
Not in like MBBS, any stages are there. Ayush.
Okay.
There one degree also said labs, bachelor of
Okay, very good. Only BMS?
Mommy medicine also there.
Okay, very good. So when we look at medicine or medical education system, we have two systems. One is the modern medicine system. So the doctors that we observe, for example, the MBBS doctors and all, they are following the modern tradition of medicine. Okay, or you use these terms allopathic and all. Now there is something called traditional system of medicine. In that traditional system, we know about Ayurveda. Just like Ayurveda, there are some other traditions also, Unani tradition, etc. So all those traditional systems combined are termed as Ayush. Okay, the long form is Ayurveda, Yoga, Naturopathy, Unani, Siddha, Homeopathy. Okay, this is the name Indian government has come up with, and they have even created a separate ministry for this, right? So now the point is, what do you think? Should we trust on the medicine system that is there over here, or should we trust on our medical system, that is this modern medicine system? What do you think? Both are trustworthy, or only one is trustworthy, one is not? Huh? Both are trustworthy. If you get ill, where would you go? Like, you will go to this Ayush practitioner, or?
Yes, sir.
Yes?
Go to modern.
So the point is, like, mostly we observe when it comes to Ayurveda, Yoga, Naturopathy, mostly they help in the prevention of diseases. But in such a term wherein, let's say this is a new disease, they will mostly focus on developing your immune system, making it stronger enough to deal with those diseases. Okay, so any new disease, before it comes to you, reaches out to you, before that your body might become stronger enough because of our traditional systems of medicine. They're very good with that dimension. So if you go for this yoga, Ayurveda, if you're following all those practices, most probably you will not get attacked, or you will be strong enough to deal with any kinds of diseases, viruses, etc., etc. Right? But let's say you have got ill right now. Okay, virus has attacked already, or let's say you got into some kind of accident, something has happened. Right now, when you need immediate relief, in that case, most of the times our modern medicine seems to be better. Right? I'm having headache, just take one tablet, done. Immediate relief. Now there I don't see Ayurveda helping much, immediately at least. Right? Long term, that would be very beneficial. Now when we look at this medicine system overall, certainly both are important. It's not like Ayurveda or these do not have any mechanism for dealing with any emergency cases, even many operations, surgeries, there also they will come up with some kind of therapy or mechanism. But overall we can understand how these two parallel systems are running. Okay? Now there is a conflict. The conflict is, let's say there is someone who has done BMS, and here we have someone who has done MBBS. Okay? Both are present in India right now, so many doctors are there. Huh?
Same duration also.
Yes, same duration also we'll assume, no problem. Now the point is, the medicines which are being suggested or being prescribed by an MBBS doctors, sometimes similar medicines are even prescribed by these doctors. Even sometimes what is happening, some hospitals, they're recruiting someone who has completed BMS because for this hospital, for a hospital, for them, that owner, it's a company. They need an employee, and they need an employee who will take less salary. So this BMS person will take obviously less salary than this MBBS person. So they're recruiting them. And this person is prescribing the same medicines which this person is prescribing. Now the conflict is, people from MBBS or supporters of this modern medicine system, they are protesting against this thing. They are saying they are not qualified to prescribe these medicines. They have studied something else. How can they prescribe something from our field? They are not experts of that. Okay. So this is the conflict that we are observing right now. That's the reason actually it is in news, and it remains in news. Right now, Government of India is more or less focusing on this Ayush. Different reasons. One, because India also traditionally has this Ayurveda and other systems in India, and we have not utilized it really well. Then there is this ideological part also. This government looks for things which are good in terms of our traditional systems. So that is one dimension. Okay, and it's a good thing also that if we have some traditional system available, why can't we use it? We've never used it, right? So right now, if you see how this evolution of medicine system took place in India, especially initially after independence, one committee was set up, Bohr committee. They gave importance to modern medicine. Okay, later on some indigenous committees were set up out, and they said we should also focus on Ayurveda, because Ayurveda somewhere brings pride in Indians that this is a system which is there in India since ancient times. Okay, we have decent knowledge which we never have looked at. There's even one thing about the traditional knowledge that is present in the tribal population. Okay, that is also a different stream. They come up with their own knowledge. They have their own medicines made up of some forest produce. So all this right now is being used. Okay. Now see, here we have this case, Mukhtiar Chand versus Punjab. Ayush practitioners cannot prescribe allopathic drugs unless explicitly authorized by government. Now these protesters are using the same case and saying that they should not. Now, what judiciary has said simply, if government is allowing you to prescribe these drugs, then you can. If government is not prescribing, don't do this, right? So what government is doing? In 2020, government brought a notification. They said any Ayush practitioner, anyone coming from Ayush, let's say, we'll just think about a BMS doctor. If he has completed his postgraduate, then in that case, they are now allowed to perform some surgeries. They are even allowed to go ahead and they can perform things which are very similar to this MBBS doctor. Okay, and now government is even thinking about something called as bridge course. They're saying we'll bring a bridge course, a kind of certification. If this doctor qualifies in that bridge course, then they can be equally prescribing things, or they will be very equivalent to these MBBS candidates. Okay, this is something government is thinking about. Especially, we understood the importance of Ayush practitioners at the time of COVID-19. Okay, what was happening at the time of COVID-19 was, whatever number of doctors are present in India, doctors, nurses, hospitals, nothing was sufficient. Not just in India, throughout the world. Those countries we saw, the public health infrastructure was not enough, right? And that in that emergency situation, we understood that because we needed more doctors. And Ayush doctors have also played an important role at that point of time, right? And we are very much aware that the pandemic that we have suffered, that was something we already knew. Many scholars had already told that one day there will be pandemic. The kind of situation in which we are, the kind of globalization we have, and the kind of practices that are going on around the world, there will be pandemic is something we knew, but nobody took any action. Now we experienced it, and now almost every country around the world, they know what is pandemic, and they are preparing themselves for any new pandemic, because we know that there will definitely be one more pandemic or maybe more. Okay. That's why when government looks at these things, they will try to keep Ayush practitioners. They'll not be like, okay, you have not done this course, so don't come in this area of MBBS. Although their argument, one of that argument is also right, that they have not studied the things which these doctors have studied, right? That is a decent argument. But if government brings any bridge course, I don't think there's any problem as such. Okay? Now, next, now this is important article. Out of all these articles which we are discussing today, this article is more important, especially from mains perspective, even for prelims also. So here Prime Minister Modi visited Tamil Nadu, and he is talking about Chola dynasty. What do you think? Chola dynasty is very important or least important or average? Important, not for exam, I'm saying, just like overall when you look at history. Ancient, medieval, modern. What do you think? Chola dynasty is a very powerful dynasty or average? No idea. So you have to read ancient and medieval history for this. So when you will read, you will understand all the chronology, what all events have happened. And you see some dynasties, those are very important, they were really powerful. And in exam also, UPSC will also focus on some dynasties. There will be so many. A bunch of lists, maybe you people will not even remember so many things. But at least you should prepare those dynasties which are highly important. When it comes to northern part of India, Mauryan Empire becomes very important. When it comes to southern part of India, Vijayanagar Empire becomes important. This Chola dynasty becomes very, very important. UPSC will keep on asking questions on these. Okay? Now, because Prime Minister visited and he's talking about this Chola dynasty, that at the time of Chola dynasty in the southern part of India, the trade, as far as trade dimension was involved, this dynasty ensured that trade increases. Like they have gone for many expeditions on different parts of the world. They were having trade with different parts of the world. So economically, this dynasty was doing really well. Okay, because they were doing economically really well, they even established some grand temples. They constructed some grand temples. When it comes to temples, what do you think? Grand temples you will find more in southern India or more in northern India? Are you sure? Just because you belong to southern India?
Sir, basically, southern India, most of the temples
Most of the temples are there in southern India. North also there are so many temples. I'm saying grand temples. Grand, you understand? Size of the temple, the amount of money that has been spent on that temple. Think about all those. South? Yes, very good. So in South you will find grand temples. Rather we say that in South there is no temple in the city is in the temple. Right? They cover all the area. And it's really grand. And at that time, for a king to establish his authority, that I am the strongest king, he used all these things, like making a grand temple that acted as something which legitimizes his political authority, that he is the grand king because he made this grand temple. Okay, and temples acted as something that can help the economic activities to grow. So if there is a big temple at a particular location, you will find that the economic system evolved around that area. Okay, so that was the time. Now when you look at this Chola, right now why it is in news? Because 1000 years completed for this expedition, maritime expedition to Southeast Asia. Now mostly there is a perception around the world that Indians do not attack any country, or Indians never go and cross their borders and go and attack some other country or take control of the land. Although when we read about Chola dynasty, we don't see this. Okay, so Chola dynasty, so you see the map. Yes, so this is the part, mostly area of Tamil Nadu, some part of Karnataka, some part of Andhra, Telangana, till Odisha. Okay, now their core obviously lies in the Tamil Nadu region. Okay, now they have gone for expedition in Sri Lanka and here on this side, which are Southeast Asia, right? Cambodia, Laos, Vietnam, whatever you call it. So their Chola dynasty has gone for expeditions. They established their power, their influence over there. Okay, so very strong, one thing. Now, some basic part. Look at this timeline, try to remember such stuffs at least for the major dynasties. Okay, I know you'll find it difficult to remember for every dynasty this timeline, but just remember the basic timeline, 18th century to 12th century. Understand the importance. They came in power in 8th century and they are in power till the end of 12th century. So around 400-500 years they have ruled. So you can understand the importance. Even Britishers did not rule for so many years. Right, 500 years is a good number. So it's one of the longest ruling southern dynasty. And first there was a dynasty called as Pallavas. Okay, they dethroned, they removed Pallavas from power, they came to power, that is this Cholas, and after Cholas, later on, the dynasty which came to power is Pandyas. You should know this chronology. Okay. Now, although there are so many kings involved, but you should remember two kings, Rajaraja Chola and Rajendra I. These two names you should know, that these are the important kings from this dynasty. Now, what these people have specifically done. This Rajaraja Chola, he built a temple called as Brihadeshwara temple. Okay, Rajaraja Chola. Brihadeshwara temple is still famous till now. The reason being, this temple is said to be having constructed in such a manner that even if there is any earthquake, nothing will happen to this temple. Okay? Now, this temple has completed around 1000 years and still it is in intact condition, no problem at all. Okay? Then we have this Rajendra Chola I. Why he is famous? Because he expanded the boundaries of Chola dynasty, especially in the northern part of India. He expanded it till this region, right? So that's why he is quite famous. Now, look at this part which is being focused in the article. What kind of contribution this Chola dynasty is bringing? Okay, this is something important from MAIS perspective. That what was so special about Chola dynasty, especially who are in medieval time phase, ancient medieval time phase. Normally we say that there is a concept of governance, good governance. Nowadays people talk about good governance. We talk about democracy, and when we say democracy, we expect good governance in democracy, right? Now there is a perception in the world that democracy originated in West. Now India is trying to showcase that democracy was present in India before even Britain has taken birth. So Britain is a very new country. We are a very old country, right? When you talk about governance or good governance, or another term that is used for this is Sushasan. So India is portraying that, look at India in ancient, in medieval times also, we had something called as local governance, like this, what we call as Panchayati Raj system or municipal corporations that we have right now. Okay, or we call it, there is a term that we used in polity, that is democratic decentralization. We have decentralized the power, right? This concept seems to be very Western originated, but India is trying to showcase that we already had such a system in India. Okay? Now see, first of all, in the political system in Cholas, there was a monarch or there was a king who is the supreme authority, the main leader. Then the entire region was divided into mandal, nadus, tehsils and villages, and most important part is this village. Because these villages are self-governing bodies. Self-governing, they can rule themselves. They were having that decentralized setup. That kind of setup even today we do not have, even after having Panchayati Raj system and all. Okay, because our panchayats are not that powerful, right? So that's a different problem altogether. But we created such a system. Just imagine, even after 1947, we were not ready to create such systems at the local level. Okay? Now, this is one thing. Second, they have this water management and land revenue system. This is something, now India is trying to say that this is something we can learn from Cholas even at present time, because water management is something we are very bad at. I don't need to tell that, just some rainfall and you'll see this issue around Ashoknagar. So water management is something they have done really well, and they were having this land revenue system, the revenue that they were collecting and all, that was also very much advanced in Chola dynasty. Okay, so this is something Modi ji also talked about, so that people should know that we are very good. Okay, and next time BJP will get some seats in Tamil Nadu. We don't know. Okay. Now Chola is good, especially with respect to this good governance aspect, right? Architecture aspect, because they have built those grand temples and all. There is some art form which is quite famous, specifically this Nataraj, right? This figure. So this is taken from Chola Empire time, the sculptures part. Then some bronze sculptures became very common, and there's this Bhudevi, another image over here. Just you should know these basic facts. Okay? That's it. At least these facts you should know. Rest you study in history. Okay? Next, this is something we had discussed last time. Again, they are repeating such news items, but because these are so important, I thought we should discuss it again. So, judiciary facing one major problem. That problem is about the backlog. Okay? There's a massive backlog in judiciary. Last time I said the total number of cases pending in judiciary. What was the number? 5 crore. 5 to 6 you can say, 5 crore is the right number. Now when you look at Supreme Court, High Court and the subordinate courts, the problem is when you look at this 5 crore number, it is dominating, the number is dominating in the subordinate courts and not High Court or Supreme Court. Obviously you can say the number of courts when it comes to subordinate courts, it's too much, like every district you will have courts. High courts very less in number, Supreme Court just one, not obviously. Now if you look at these numbers, then you will get an idea that the burden of cases is highest with the subordinate courts. So look at the number. Supreme Court around 86,000 cases are pending. High Court 63 lakh cases are pending. And subordinate, district and subordinate courts 4.6 crore cases are pending. Okay? This data is enough to make this argument. While writing answers, you should be very clear about this part. That you will say that there is burden on court, but you will also say that the highest burden is lying on the subordinate courts. Okay? I will suggest remember entire data. This is very good data. GS 1, 2, 3, everywhere you can use it very well. Okay? Now, why there is delay in cases? Why there is so much pending cases? Why this issue is continuing? Major reason said by the courts is the vacancies. There are so many vacancies which are not being filled, again because there is role of executive, and because of this it is not happening. So they are saying 33% of the seats in High Court are vacant, 20% in district courts. So this is one major problem, vacant seats. We need more judges to be recruited. Then the case overload is highest with the district courts. That means you need to understand that even if as far as vacancy is concerned, we see only 20% vacancy in district courts, but rather we need more people in the district courts. Okay, even if the sanctioned strength is something, let's say government has said that 1,000 judges are needed, just for the sake of example I'm saying, 1,000 judges are needed in district courts. Looking at the pressure that they are facing, looking at the number of cases that are coming to these district courts, we should rather think of increasing this sanction strength even. You don't need 1,000, rather you need 2,000, 3,000 people over here. Are you getting this point? Yes? So this case overload part. Then sometimes judges are there but staff is not there. What will a judge do? Judge will just observe things and he will give his judgment. Rest of the things, you need the staff. Sometimes there is lack of infrastructure. The basic infrastructure is the courtroom. At least there should be a courtroom. In many parts, we do not see any such courtroom also. So infrastructure problem is there. Then there are some procedural delays because the legal procedures are very complicated. Legal procedures also demand that you will have to give time to each and every party, and that time is like very much arbitrary in nature. They'll say, sir, give us 2 months, 5 months, 6 months. This will keep on continuing. So procedural delays are there, and many a times there are adjournments. So adjournment, you know people. This is up to the judge what he wants to do. Now, right now, we are talking about digitizing even courtrooms. We have already started this live streaming, which you must have seen some videos online. Live streaming is happening. We're thinking about digitizing the entire court procedures. So let's say a court is, let's say I am the judge, this is a local court, so I have to make a roster which case will take place on which date, I have to maintain all those things. They're saying let's digitize everything, make it online, bring some AI into it, do all these things very fast, right? That is one thing. All the cases, if the judgment is being given, then that judgment should be available in all the languages. Mostly it is in English. The person coming there, he speaks Tamil, he doesn't understand anything, so even those things are being done. So if we can bring in all records online, that would also bring some efficiency in the system. So this is something we are working on, but till now nothing really happened. Now one more thing that we have observed is, when we look at all these numbers, these 5 crore cases, in most of the cases the main party is government, largest litigant. Okay, so this is a major problem, because the government is involved, then government will also work very slow, so judiciary will also work very slow, right? Now considering all these problems, this article says what we need as a solution. Number one, they say we need some fast track courts. Do you think fast track courts will work in India? What is fast track court? Which works fast? Huh?
The cases which were pending for hours, they were resolved.
No? No, I'm saying just what is fast track court? Your idea is okay, we can suggest that. Yes?
Separate department for particular type of cases.
Okay, we will make a separate department. What will happen? Case will continue for next 20 years.
Within a short of year, we can give the judgments.
Very good. Within very short span, we can give judgment. The problem is there is no limit, time limit in which judiciary is supposed to give the judgment. Are you getting this point? So here comes the role of bringing that time frame. For that, what you need is a special case and a special judge, a special court. Let's say for POXO cases, right? POXO, prevention of child-related abuse. Whenever there is child-related abuse, or let's say there is a rape case in which a minor is involved. So what we have is a special court. It's a fast-track court. You don't go to the normal judicial mechanism. If you go for that, it will continue for 20 years. Right? For this POXO cases, we have special fast-track courts. Within 6 months, within a year, you will get the judgment. Special court is there, special judge is there. Right? There are some timelines given even for investigation and all. So such courts are really working well. Okay. So here even this writer is saying we need such fast track courts. At least for some specialized things we can bring such fast track courts. Okay. Although again at the level of logic, at the level of this thought of justice, it becomes difficult to agree on this. Whether judiciary should have a fixed timeline to sort out a particular case? Can they compromise on justice? Like every person should get the opportunity if some cases require some time. So you can't have this fixed timeline set up as such. It's difficult. Right? This is one side. Other side is if judiciary doesn't give the judgment within the right time, what's the use of that? Justice delayed is justice denied. Why it is said? Let's say I have gone to the judiciary for some case. Let's say some property dispute, or let's say I'm saying someone killed my brother, or whatever the case is. I went to court, it continued for 20 years. In 20 years I even died. Now court is giving the judgment. What will I do? So this is the extreme end. If it is delayed a lot, that's a problem. But if there is a fixed timeline, even that is a problem, because they can't do justice. Right? So just remember this part. Okay? So they're suggesting fast track courts, one thing, filling up all these vacancies, digitizing all these records. And one of the major suggestions is to look for ADR. ADR is Alternative Dispute Resolution System. Alternative Dispute Resolution System. Understand the meaning. Alternative means alternative to this our traditional judiciary that we have. We need something as an alternative. Dispute Resolution System. There's a fight among two people. instead of going to the court, come to this new system. We'll try to sort it out. We're trying to sort it out, and we are not like, there is a system like if you follow the judiciary, there will be a fixed procedure, they'll go for the law, what is mentioned in law, all these investigations will take place and final judgment will come. Here in the ADR, you will have different mechanisms to ensure that the case is sorted out before it reaches out to the court. Okay, so there are many mechanisms. For example, there's something called arbitration, mediation, conciliation, negotiation, etc., etc. So many things are there. Sometimes two people will negotiate. There will be one middleman. He'll try to sort it out, like you give this much rupee, you give this much, let's sort it out. Okay, this happens even in villages. Those punch which sit, let's say some people are fighting, punch will try to first sort it out somehow. Or just like our Donald Trump, who is saying, I have mediated. I want to mediate Kashmir issue and all, right? So that is alternate dispute resolution mechanism. No need to go to International Court of Justice or UN. Trump will do it. Okay. Now similar system, they're saying we can bring in our domestic affairs. Now one of that which we have already brought is this Lok Adalat. Okay. Now how it works and all, that's something you will study in static. Just look at the performance. They have till now disposed 22.2 crore pre-litigation cases and 5.3 crore pending cases, pending with the court. Do you see they're performing well? Right? So they're performing well, okay. And you look at this thing, because of the judicial delays, even you people, when you face any problem, you don't prefer to go to courts. You know how long this process will continue. You don't want to get into that trap. Even for such people, this becomes easier thing. That even if I don't get exact complete justice that I would have got through courts, at least this issue will get somehow sorted out. Right? So even those people who are, let's say, investing their money in a particular sector or something, and suddenly if because of government's laws or something happens, some disaster takes place, sometimes it happens that companies face some challenge. Right? So they're not able to make profits, or because government has suddenly government has said that you have to pay so much tax, or they've sent some notice, the company will be like, how will I pay? I'll die. If I'll die, then I'll remove everyone and I'll also go back to my home. There are fights between business companies and the government also many a times because of the policy decisions taken by government. Suddenly government can't take any action. We can't do anything. Now in that case, even those business units, they prefer, instead of going to courts, if there is any alternative dispute resolution mechanism, they also prefer that. Okay, and now because this government, they also say that we are trying to bring ease of doing business in India. We want that for businesses, India should be having a really good ecosystem. So if there is any problem, we will also have some sorting out mechanisms in India. Okay, just observe what all things are happening around you. Okay? Any doubt on this? No? Now this one, antitrust regulations. Now this is something that is happening around the world. You should just have a basic idea. You don't need to note anything as such for this topic. Antitrust regulation, what is it? Why it is coming into picture? You see, we are in the phase of capitalism. So market matters a lot. Market decides so many things. Companies play important role. Now we have something called as state, which is very powerful, right? State which is very powerful, state which is sovereign, which decides everything. But there are some non-state actors which have also become very powerful. So let's say if I talk about some MNCs, some big corporates, don't you think they are very powerful? They can decide many things. Yes, there was one case I think about Facebook many years back. So I think the name is Cambridge Analytica case. So when the election in America was taking place, some data Facebook misused to manipulate even the elections in America. How they can do it? Very simple. Let's say you're using Facebook, Instagram, or whatever. What you will do is, let's say you support a particular political party or a leader. Okay, what I'll do? I'll send you all the negative posts about that political leader or party again and again to you every single day, and something good about the other. Don't you think after a few months, even if you're a very what we call staunch supporter of that leader, still there will be some change in your mind, right? Your political thoughts might change. Now this is how it happens, that there are some companies which are having that access, right? They have your data, they know what to send, they control that algorithm and all. They're very powerful. Now look at companies which are those big major companies like Google, Facebook, Meta you call it. Look at Google. Google is almost having some kind of monopoly in the market. Do you see any competitor of Google? How interesting. At least when you look at just our telecom market in India, you have Jio, you have Airtel, V also, and you have BSNL, right? So 3-4 competitors are there. People are saying in some days this V will die. So there will be only Airtel and Jio. What do you think? If there are 5-10, let's say there are 10 players, okay, so they will charge, let's say, 200 rupees for 1 month. Most of the times there will be competition in all these 10 companies. Because of the competition, what companies will try to do? They will try to offer something better than the other. This company will say, I'll offer something better to the customer. So either the cost will be reduced, or in the same cost they'll provide some additional benefits. Because of competition, customer gets an extra choice. Because of this competition, all these companies will spend some amount of money and effort in innovation. Okay, so some kind of innovation. This one company will say, I'll do one thing, I'll put my money in 5G or 6G before all these people come into picture. They'll come up with something new. Are you getting this idea? Now when you remove these people, let's say there are only 2 companies and no one is there. What these 2 will do? Again there is intense competition between these 2. But there is no one, and customer has only these 2 choices. So these 2 will be like, let's do one thing, let's make it 1,000 rupees per month. They'll have to come to you or me. Both of us will keep the prices at the same rate. Okay. Now imagine if there is only one company. My way or highway. Lena hai to lo, nahi to ghar. So when there was only BSNL in the beginning, I remember you had to apply for the SIM for, let's say, 6 months prior. You had to wait for 6 months for the SIM to receive. So such things were common at that time. If you want to get a recharge, you have to reach out to the BSNL office. Such things were common. Still, okay, BSNL still is a government company. Private players will abuse it very badly, right? Now when you look at capitalism or market-driven economy, companies will definitely try to raise their profit. One of the best way to get maximum profit is through monopoly. Monopoly means you are the only company selling that particular product. There is no one, right? So best, if there is only one company selling that particular service, everyone will have to buy, and you can decide. Now customer does not have choice. This owner has the choice. He will decide. He'll take 15% charge or 30% charge or 100% charge. Are you getting this point? Yes? Look at this thing from customer's perspective. One thing. Second, because we are in democracy, the government will do what the people want, or they should do what people want, right? These are the customers, they're not happy. So even government will think that we should have a system in which no company should have monopoly, because they know what will be the result of monopoly. No innovation, no competition, right? And customer exploitation. Getting this point? That's why most of the countries will try to ensure that there is competition in the market. If there's anyone becoming very stronger, they will try to stop it, or they'll try to bring other players. Now what will happen is, even if there is a new company, let's say I start a new startup right now against Google. I also provide the same services which Google is providing, but I'm very small. Google will do something or the other and ensure that my startup will fail. They're so big, they can do whatever they want to. So many times these such big companies, they go for some anti-competitive practices. This term we use, anti-competitive. Their actions are such that you can't compete, or the competition in the market is downgraded. They don't like competition. They came with competition, but they don't like competition now because they are the best right now, or they are at the top. They don't want any competition, just like any politician who becomes prime minister or something. Now he doesn't want any competitor. Right? So I'm giving example of Russia, not India. So Russian president, many times people say that he killed that other guy. So it's common. It's common for them also. Nobody wants their position to be challenged. Now, if let's say when it comes to Google Play Store or Google providing services in the Android phones and all, even if you bring any new service, any new let's say you're coming up with a new app store, you're coming up with a new app, you need Google's permission. Google will decide how much to charge and all. So they go for such practices. It's something which is very much clearly visible right now. That's why many countries around the world, they are trying to take some actions. Many countries, when I say even developed countries, for example France. So France had even brought some law to tax some major companies. Also they are trying to ensure that these companies, because they have so much power with them, that they can even challenge state. And this is something which is very dangerous. They can even challenge the state. If a company is capable of even changing the results of elections, that means they are the one who are powerful, not the state. Are you getting this point? Yes? So this is concerning. That's why what we need is some laws, and this is something we call as antitrust regulation. Okay? So it's happening in other countries also, it's happening in India also. Already, India has this Competition Commission of India. Okay, before that also there was one agency, but at the time of Indira Gandhi I think, but later on that agency was replaced with Competition Commission of India. We need to know about this because this is the present agency that we have to deal with these things. Okay, Competition Commission of India. They can put any fine. Many times we get this news. Competition Commission of India put some fine on Google or put some fine on someone. This will keep on happening. Okay, that's it. Any doubt? Okay, this is a news in transition because I can see this news maybe since last 2-3 years or maybe even more than that. Continuously I can see this is happening because this will take time even for government to come up with some new regulations. Now what this article is saying, you should have very strong regulations for these antitrust practices or practices which are anti-competitive. Okay, this is not easy because those companies will also put a lot of pressure because they go for something called as lobbying. They are very strong. They get in touch with these politicians also, and they'll not let these politicians make such laws which harm their interest. Okay, and there is a saying in India that the government in India is formed. It's a saying, I'm not saying this is the 100% truth, but it's a saying that the government in India is formed with the votes of people and notes of these people. Right? So I don't need to say anything in this. We can understand, right? That's it. That's it for today. Any doubt? Please ask if you have any doubt. No? Okay then, thank you so much.